Hello everyone, and thank you for joining XROM podcast, a platform to showcase and shape India's XR industry. I'm your host, Eddie Avil. XROM was designed with a vision to shape India's AR, VR, MR growth story and to help you understand and learn about this transformational technology which holds potential to change the way we live, work and play. Pleasure to have with me Saurabh and Saket, who are the founder and co-founder of Liminal Virtual Reality Studio. Both are engineering students who saw the potential of blending creativity with immersive technology. Liminal Studios are the only Indian partners of Google Halo, and they're building some fantastic immersive content for enterprise as well as consumers. We had a fantastic conversation, and I hope you enjoy this too.
How did VR happen? When did Liminal come into play? And what's the vision behind this?
So personally, I think I stumbled upon VR back in 2014, late 2014.
Oh, that's early.
I was working with this real estate company, and my job was to kind of figure out technologies which can be implemented within the space of real estate that can visualize spaces, right? And that's how I got introduced to VR and AR. And once I wore the headset, I think I don't remember exactly the piece that I was watching, but it was a piano player. He lights up a cigarette, he puts it in the ashtray, and starts playing. And it was a stereo experience.
Back in 2014.
Back in 2014, and that was something that I watched and like, wow, man! Why just real estate, right? Why just this space? Because honestly, this little boring sort of just showing a static space. So, and I was coming from a more creative background, so I thought, why don't we kind of step out and create something more, give more to it and add value to like a lot of industries that can be enhanced through virtual reality.
Lovely.
So we started Liminal that way. It was initially the team that I was working with.
Right.
Two of us got out and we started shooting and post-producing. We started with like a documentary. That was our first attempt to VR. And we wanted to really push the envelope, so we thought we'll do an 8K production. So back in 2015, we did that production.
Right.
And YouTube came up with this 8K support.
Right.
And we did this documentary, and then from there we took on and we started working with a lot of different industries and corporates and films, and that's how Liminal came into the picture.
Lovely. So it was too early, 2014, and then 8K around that point in time, 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
Wow. How cool is that? So what camera were you guys using?
We were using a 7 GoPro rig, which allowed us to get a 12K footage out of it while we were shooting at 3K on each camera. But the kind of computers that we're using was not able to kind of process 8K.
Exactly.
But what we did was we used to render out everything, put it on YouTube, watch it on YouTube, and then the final mixes, and then probably send it to the client. Okay, this is how it is. And it was very difficult at that point in time.
Lovely. So Saket, what's your story?
So my first introduction to VR was through Saurabh. I knew him since college. We met. I was working in Mumbai, and I'm a tech guy out and out, building apps and thinking of what would be a good use case here and there, and doing that kind of stuff. And when I saw VR first time, it was a horror experience. I distinctly remember. Catatonic, yes. And it was spooky as fuck because you're trapped and you're just, and I hadn't really known about VR. I've just listened to the term, but I was just imagining things. But when I saw it, it just brought me to a different perspective. And AR as well. I mean, AR is something that I kind of read about because I started researching on VR and then AR. And what I felt personally was that the whole space becomes your playground. When you think of an app or you think of a screen, it's just that much. It's just the UX part of things is that much, and it really fascinated me of the possibilities that can be done. It's not a creative mindset per se, but just the plethora opens up, right? You have the entire space. This is the entire room is your UX. You can place things. You can interact with everything around you, and it is the front end for things like IoT and things like that. It's a brilliant ecosystem altogether. So that's when I just fell in love with the technology, and I stopped everything that I wanted to do after a point, and I was like, let me put all my brains in this. And that's when we started working on different things. So I kind of brought that mindset of making things a little more interactive and doing that. Saurabh obviously had a very creative outlook towards a lot of things, and together I think he told me about how people's perception changes, how that can be uh, played along with, and things like that. And then I was like, okay, where does this fit? What can we do with it? And what are the kind of different possibilities? And that's how the journey started. Uh, in 2016, I think, where we started really going out in the market and started talking to people, understood what is their perception when we tell about VR, what do people really feel, and what do they think it is, and what do they start saying. So that's how the journey basically started. And it continues to be a very, very rich learning experience, something that I never felt that could have been possible in what I was doing before. Uh, because you just introduce something new, something very, very fresh with respect to VR and AR, and we're gonna see how market responds and how people respond, and that's a revelation. I like that part when you introduce something new and then their perspective of things changes. The whole shell that they think about it expands a bit. So,
Brilliant. How difficult or easy has your experience been with clients to make them understand about it?
I think when we started, when we started going to, I came to Bombay. I am not originally from Bombay, so I didn't have any contact, and I started Liminal not by thinking I will make money, I'll do this. My vision was to create something in VR and probably show it to. I thought it'll be easy.
Right.
I thought it'll be like, yeah, people will see this, and like how I felt, people will feel the same. But the reality stuck when I started pitching to clients. And initially it was very, very difficult because it was sort of easy to get in their offices because you had something new and unique to talk about. But as soon as they wear the headset, like, what is the scalability of this? Do people really need this headset? And all those things started coming up, right? Initially it was a little difficult. And then after a couple of years, we saw people like, हाँ मैंने तो ये सिंगापुर में देखा है, मैंने तो ये US में देखा है, and they would relate to their experience there and they want to recreate that.
Right.
So my experience has been, initially it was very, very like new, so people started, but no one like put in money into that. They
Right.
just wanted to experience it. Okay, this is good. Probably sometime in the
Fukad
future
ka,
I'll let you know.
free.
100 रुपए नहीं देना है मेरे को
हाँ.
मॉल में, आप आ जाओ ऑफिस में, मैं देख लेता हूँ.
सबको फ्री चाहिए.
सबको free
फ्री
चाहिए.
क्या मिलता है दुनिया में?
So, but later what happened was, I think companies, a lot of people started doing AR around the world, and it became a buzzword. Now, for corporates, for other people, it started becoming like a tick mark, right? Have you done AR, VR? No, you should do it. What you should do, I don't know. You tell me what you need to do. And we would tell them some solution which would actually be something that they can use. And probably not, let's just do a walkthrough sort of a space. Like, let's do something which is simple to start off with. Like, okay, and then we ended up making a lot of walkthroughs. Like if you go to our website and see how many walkthroughs we have, it's crazy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
And then we started implementing different use cases using those walkthroughs. So we're like, okay, you've done walkthrough once. Why
Go
don't
a
we
step
showcase?
beyond.
Yeah.
Let's just do a little bit of simulation, let users interact. So that's slightly
Introduce
pushing the
them
envelope.
slowly and slowly.
Yeah.
Right.
The most common thing is people they land on our website, they give us a call and they say, we want to do VR, and they sound pretty kicked about it. And we get really excited about this. Like, these guys are really into it, and we create a very good solution deck, pitch deck. They go to them, we pitch them and all that. They said, but इसमें तो headset लगता है. Like, obviously, headset तो लगता है ना, like सबके पास headset नहीं होता है. Like, then why do you say you want to do VR? नहीं, VR तो करना है.
Then they'll
जो
be like,
phone
okay,
वाला-
यार में कुछ कर सकते हैं क्या?
They don't know AR. They don't
Yeah,
really know
yeah.
AR. Like, phone से वो दिखता है ना, so that's AR. Like, हाँ, वो करते हैं. Like,
So it's primarily for a lot of industries, it's most likely like, because your competition is doing it, you have to do something in this field. Otherwise, people will say they have not done it, and especially everyone wants to become like the technology front runner. We are implementing all these new age things and capitalizing on that novelty factor that comes with these technologies initially. But I think in the future things are going to change. Even now the things are changing.
So competition is a good thing, because that's the only way you can grow the industry. That's a great thing. But obviously right now, with the industry growing, there are these people who take these small monoscopic cameras and they think that you can just run with the camera and you can shoot stuff, and they put stuff out on YouTube. And as a person who's experiencing VR for the first time, that's a turn off. Right?
Yeah.
That's also push driving nauseatic this thing. So
That's
tell me, I
true.
mean, what are the experiences that you have? Do you have
I think it's not just like hampering the business. It's about hampering the thought process of the clients that they have for virtual reality. But if you create one bad experience in VR and someone is putting in money into that and that doesn't come out well, the kind of mindset changes. Like VR nahi karte hain. Well, it doesn't work out, right? So that's a bigger challenge right now for us too, because a lot of independent sort of producers jumped into it.
Right.
As soon as there was a lot of people creating these VR films and walkthroughs and use cases, a lot of independent like agencies would come in and they would not talk to us, but they would just do some YouTube videos and हाँ ये तो stitching easy है, shoot तो ऐसा easy है, एक camera उठा लेंगे and कर देंगे shoot, and then they get stuck. And then they call us.
Come back. They waste their money, they waste their time and effort. They don't realize that when you need something which is good and you need to involve a professional, and that's where people like you guys come in, right? Rather
Absolutely.
than just taking that jump or ye ho jayega, wo ho jayega into the unknown, and then you just mess it up. So yes, I mean, you guys have I recently got to know that you guys have partnered with Google.
Yes.
Right? I mean, though it's not recent, but you guys are partnered with Google. So can you talk more about your partnership with Google?
It's a very interesting story actually, how we got connected to Google. And actually we've been working since late 2015. Not a lot of people knew a lot of VR studios in India.
Right.
So I was very active on a Facebook group, replying to questions, and it's a global group. Is where I was discovered by the producer at Google VR from San Francisco, and they told us, what, we want to partner with a studio in India. We want to produce a lot of, obviously for Google, India is the next billion market subscriptions. So that's how, and then they set up a team in India. Chaitanya Chandare is the head of AR, where we went and met him, and then the conversation went forward, and they helped us a lot in terms of providing the equipment. We have like tons of cameras that Google gave it to us. Like, why don't you use it? And then we created a lot of experiences with Google, and especially with like we did an experience with a YouTuber, and the idea was to kind of push VR into the mainstream using by creating a lot of content in virtual reality. Although it was interesting because we pitched to a lot of people who were pretty much big influencers in this space, T-Series and Guru Randhawa, who had the potential. If they create a video in VR, it would go big, because a lot of people will experience it. I don't know about the quality of sound and like the composition and all that is the second thing, but in terms of the sheer visibility of the medium to the crowd, it's going to be a great use case for putting VR into the masses. Although a lot of things didn't work out.
Exactly.
I think there's a lot of credit that goes to Google for having this kind of an ecosystem. They set up this jump assembler ecosystem wherein they were really enabling people like our startups all across the globe. In India, we were the ones that we partnered, but all across the globe, they were enabling startups from giving them everything, exposure to clients, to the infrastructure. All the startup had to think about how can we utilize this to make a best possible product, and that really helps a company who's struggling to make ends meet. where this kind of a ecosystem comes into picture, and everything is taken care of. Big company like Google. So I think it was a very, very noble initiative by Google. It still is. I mean, they're looking towards a little bit of MR AR at the moment, but it really helped us at that time, and I'm sure it helped a lot of other companies.
In Google, we made a video with Google and Nestle for KitKat, and that was the first video that went on a masthead.
Right.
There's a huge money that involves when you put a video on masthead, and got some 15 million views on
wow.
YouTube.
I think for a VR experience in India, I don't know, but on YouTube at least 15 million is not really it's an unheard
that's a big
kind
number.
of a thing.
That's
Yeah.
a big number. Yeah?
So I mean, I think those are the ways where how these companies, Facebook, Google, they can actually push the technology to the masses, where people have basic understanding. I would not probably go and play a game if I'm in tier 2, tier 3 cities, but if Guru Randhawa makes a song in VR, probably he'll reach out to me and I'll like, oh, this is cool, right? And that might be the starting point.
Completely. So I mean, thanks to Google that they're supporting the startup system ecosystem, and I hope that the other players jump into the bandwagon and reach out to players such as yours, you guys. I mean, Facebook being one of them. Facebook,
Niantic being another.
Niantic, and they do understand that we are a 1.3 billion
Yes.
country with the largest youth population. In India is it's an emerging country when it comes to AR, VR, MR, and I hope the big players come in and support the startup ecosystem. Talking about ecosystem, where does India stand according to you guys when it comes to AR, VR, MR?
I think there is. I mean, in terms of creators or developers, the technology has been adopted really well, understood really well. People have learned a lot really quickly. However, the problem is that the ecosystem, we call it an ecosystem, but people don't come together, right?
Very true.
There's a challenge where kind of everyone is trying to do everything.
Yeah, silos.
Yeah, exactly. And it is not a very good thing in a long term, but I think that's how emerging a market would be. It's been slow. However, when I come, this is the developers or creators' perspective, where people have been, fascinated by technology really well. There's people with vision have started working on it. At the same time, the other part of it, the guys like Sony and all of them, they've tried, but they've not really gone deep into it. The market has not really adopted. I think India is that kind of market where it is a slow adopter. It wants a proven ROI to even experiment with things. They don't want to try something that is really cool, but it's something that they're just making them instant money. I feel it's that kind of a market in general. So that's one of the reasons why AR and VR has not really picked up in India as everyone was expecting, including Google. Google started supporting us because they thought that it'll really pick up, and it'll fast forward, putting in big money, big ecosystem. But I don't think the market is ready yet, as some other countries, some European countries, or countries like America, where
US, talk about Japan, Singapore.
Yes.
So what do you guys see the problem? I mean, for the adoption?
The ROI, I mean, see, there's a perception. It's a perception of Indian market towards technologies like AR and VR. They are new to things like digital marketing. When I say new, it's not that it's just 2 years old. It's been there. It's been out there since last 10 years. But they want to juice it out completely before. So we've been working with marketing departments of teams. So the people, first of all, to go a step beyond and say this is not just marketing. This can really fit into a lot of other places, be it training, be it simulation, or just simple employee interaction, for example. So we have not yet cracked that. It's been around the marketing departments of companies, but they are very,
I think the outlook is that if I put in 1 rupee into this, I should be getting
at least 2 rupees.
Back. So that way, what is happening is
They're not giving the time to the technology. Are you hinting at that? Because I also sometimes feel that, because if you see your phone, the medium which is ubiquitous right now, 20 years back, nobody wanted the piece because we already had like landline, right? So nobody thought that that phone
Yeah.
would become what it's become right now.
Yeah.
20 years back, it was just something which you could make calls with. That's it. Today, you can SMS, you can make free WhatsApp calls, you can buy your underwears, you can never get lost with the GPS, and so many other things, right now. So, do you think people like us at times are also responsible for projecting to people what the current situation, the myths, as you say, is that a problem?
I would say yes and no, because yes, there are a lot of companies who want to be Me Too's and
Right,
doing
right,
same
right,
things and
right.
not really thinking of the place that they are in, the city that they are in, the problems around them. Rather trying to replicate something that's happening in US or say Paris, something cool that happened. Let me try and do that. That's there. At the same time, we're talking about people who are startups. They're young. They're usually hungry most of the time. I'm saying hungry for work and things like that. So you can't really blame them for they want to learn, right? It's a learning phase. AI and VR creators are also learning on a regular basis. There's a lot of new information. So while you're learning, you obviously want to do something that's safe and not really want to invest your time and money in something that you're not sure. There's no real adoption for market for people to go out there and say, let me innovate, let me spend 1 year of my time and do something really cool, because I know there are 10 companies who are already using AR and VR in some other way. Let me make something really amazing and try to capture that market. So for someone to take that risk, it requires a lot. You need to have a bandwidth. We ourselves in our journey, we realized this a long time back. That Indian market is a certain kind of market. You need to do such things. For example, the hydraulic example that I told you about. We knew about this a long time back. But for us to develop this kind of solution, we have to stop everything else, stop doing the regular walkthroughs, for example, and sit on this and really invest our time. But if we do that, how will we make ends meet?
Right.
So
even
that's
if,
a
even
challenge.
if we do that, I mean, the company whom we are working with, they're not paying us for the initial POC. They want, but before investing, they want to see what you can
Yeah.
do, right? I want to see how it can be used in my firm, but I will not be paying you any money for R&D, because R&D comes for free.
What's with
right?
these digital forward companies who know that innovation? They talk about tech innovation, but they don't want to spend on R&D.
It's surprising. It's really surprising, because they themselves tell that this is going to make us a lot of they'll save us a lot of money, or they'll help us do our process better. At the same time, they don't want to invest in the R&D part of it. Like we will build that for you, but give us some runway so that we survive and not do something else and be dedicated to this. Like you have to build this, show me the end product, and that's when we can talk about commercials.
So lack of partnerships are obviously like a major drawback. And just imagine if these companies do understand that this initial investment that they put their time and energy or little funds for R&D, they can benefit in the long run. Because I think the forward companies really do understand, and they have these hackathons and stuff like
Yeah.
that, where they enable the startups.
Yeah.
That way the solutions that they build eventually helps them. So I hope that people understand that. So enterprise obviously has been one conversation. Now you guys are also into entertainment, right?
Yes.
You guys have been. I heard that you guys are doing something in Bollywood.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how's
Really
that
excited
experience
about it.
been? Yeah, how's that experience been?
To start off with, not very good, because we've been approached by quite a few Bollywood production houses,
Right.
really big ones. But the outlook that they had for VR was very different. They wanted to do something in making of a song or a making of a film, and constant
VR for PR.
Yeah,
VR for
exactly.
PR, right? Like they see VR as like a content over content tool where I can look. Probably everyone is doing it in Hollywood. People are doing it. So let's see what it can do. But since I
There's
don't
no
want to
real
spend
answer
money
to
on
the
this.
question, why do you want to do it? Like that was our initial thing with most. We actually thought Bollywood will be one of the first movers, and they'll adopt VR. They'll love the technology because they understand
The possibility
creative-
of storytelling is
Yes.
immense,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
In like especially with this medium, but
But it doesn't really work.
but
like that.
they don't want to go into the
Has to.
story mode.
Yeah.
They want to do something which revolves around their, like they'll create a film and then make a making of this film or something, a piece where it can fit into my marketing or PR scene.
Yeah.
So
Having
basically
said
you're
that-
saying they don't want to be brave enough, because they're so all comfortable with their own bubble, because 2D, the film is going on, they're making money out of it, they're making lots of money out of it, but they don't understand that the future is going to be immersive, because entertainment has taken 100 years to evolve, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
from 18,
Films.
films, right from your black and white to your color.
The train
to your,
coming.
Yeah, everything
Yeah.
from back then till now, it's taken 100 years, and it's taken so long to evolve. Right now, obviously, it's really, really cool. But it's waiting for it to kind of like burst, because there needs to be an evolution. So, so far, like what ahead? I mean, because we so far have been passive viewers. And with VR, we can enable the
active participation,
active
yes.
participant. You can
Yes.
be participating, and then you can jump from being restricted to a 2D viewer to being part of it in 3D. You can interact with the content. So tell me something more about Bollywood.
We are working on a very cool project, horror project. It's again under wraps for the moment, because it's in collaboration. Again, it's not something that it's most of our effort and things that went out to it. We had to take that leap, otherwise it's not going to happen. We realized it long back that no one is going to come forward and say, okay, we will invest in it and let's create it. So that's
So
not
it's
going to happen.
mostly like again a POC for the industry.
Yeah.
It's like
Testing grounds.
we can't put in money.
Right.
We convinced them to put in a little bit of money, whatever we had to spend on hiring vendors and record this, and we can't expect them
So
to
basically,
work
there's a set, there's a feature film production going on, and we are running around and okay,
finding
yahan pe ho
spaces,
gaya.
and they were good enough to give us some
awesome.
time in their schedule.
Yeah.
So
With-
we
with the actors, and so after you get into that zone, after you push across these decision makers and all, when you go into that space where you're talking to the creative field and mainstream Bollywood actors, they understand VR very well. They have very good things to say, and that's what we are missing out on. We are not someone who's worked in that. I mean, obviously you have more brains in it. You have better production quality, better output. So working with those people, we learned a lot. This can be approached this way.
Right.
So there's a
Yeah,
lot
so
of interest
it's a
out
give
there.
and take. Obviously, I mean, if those guys, the 2D filmmakers, they understand that if we are in the future and they jump in and collaborate, synergize, there's so much that collectively one can
It's
do
the
to
people who
grow
are sitting
the
on top.
ecosystem. Right.
Yeah,
So
the
who
decision
needs
makers
to
are
take
the
the
one who
decision?
are the bottleneck.
Right.
But I think the creative side of people, the director or the actor, that was a great experience. I think
they have a
once
lot
we
of
started
ideas, right?
working,
You're doing this, probably you can do it like this, or probably even the actor, right? Like there's a lot of ideas, a lot of excitement that you can see.
The mainstream
you're
Bollywood
shooting
actors
VR,
saying
wow.
that let me not be the hero of the scene. Let the viewer be the hero, because he can be.
Exactly.
Viewer, make
Exactly.
him the hero, and I'll be around him. I'll be
Right.
driving the story, but
Right.
let him be the hero. And that was a
That's
very
the
cool
way
thing.
it's supposed to be, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you keep that's VR is for. I mean, it's the user is the one who drives the narrative forward.
Absolutely.
So tell me, as a filmmaker, there's a lot of these filmmakers who must be sitting and watching this,
Yeah.
and who might be curious.
Mhm.
So how would they get into it, and what's the challenges of VR filmmaking?
See, to start off with, I don't know, there are different ways to kind of climb the mountain, right? Like we starting with like documentaries. We did a documentary with BBC, we did a documentary with Oculus back in 2016. So that gave us a lot of exposure in terms of how to approach towards a filmmaking in VR. And then we also wanted to do a lot of fictional pieces, and then with this Bollywood project we got an opportunity to actually attempt like a VR fictional content.
You need to unlearn a lot of things that you have been doing especially the filmmakers who've studied filmmaking. They've thought of things through and through.
They come with a lot of baggage.
They come with a lot of baggage.
Here, the canvas is the entire world, not your.
Yes.
Yeah, fiction.
Yeah.
This
Fixed
frameless
space. Yeah.
sort of a
You need
space.
to, you need to go back to the drawing board, wherein you're not always talking in a scene. You're not driving the story through narrative of a word. For example, it's the story. How do you build up the story? Go back to the drawing board and think about the whole environment, because there's no frame, right? There's no frame of reference. It's an entire setup. So those are the kind of challenges where you have to unlearn a lot of things and experiment and be ready to fail and make something shitty to start with, and then in the process you'll come out with a very good piece. But I feel that it's you have to do that. You cannot really start by thinking that you'll make a very good VR experience, because you still discover a lot of things in VR filmmaking.
Completely.
As you said, it's 100 years of journey which cannot be done in
Like
say
2
couple
years,
of
yeah.
years. Yeah.
Right. And is there any synergistic opportunities if there's some listener who's listening and wants to come and talk to you guys?
Absolutely.
And possibly synergize and do something?
Absolutely, we'd love to share our knowledge and our experience.
Probably give us give the production
Equipment. Yeah, we have the
and-
equipment. That's the least. I mean, we can definitely give our equipment and create something together. At the same time, share our knowledge and awareness. We would love to hear thoughts. Like I said, when we saw the filmmaker of the feature film saying few things, it was a great learning for us. This opened up our minds to few other things. Similarly, I'm sure there are a lot of young filmmakers sitting out there who've seen a VR experience or two, and they have their own take of it. They have their own story to tell in VR, and to be able to do that together, it'll be an opportunity to us as well. So whatever we can do, we will be able to do. But at the same time, it does need a lot of. I mean, depends on the kind of thing that you want to make. Some things need a lot of production value. So that's anyways going to be a challenge. So
I think that's one of the bottlenecks why people are not attempting towards VR film. First of all, the knowledge is limited. Although now with YouTube, there are a lot of creators who are speaking about VR, their take on it. The second thing is monetization. How do we, like, let's say I make a film, and how do I put it across? How do I earn money? Because there's a lot of time and effort that I'm putting into the film. If you do the same for a 2D film, you probably send it to festivals. You can send it to, like, there are a lot of OTT platforms who are there now. But how do we kind of monetize these things?
I think that's something which is would be like a major concern to these budding filmmaker startups. So
It will.
Absolutely.
Would you want to talk about monetization?
Sure. I mean, right now, what do you have? Like YouTube, you upload it on YouTube, and YouTube doesn't even like consider that you've created a VR video. They would consider the same as a 2D video, and probably the algorithm works in a way that it will not even come in your recommendations. Why? Because it's a 4K video, your
It'll be
internet
slow
speed is
to-
low.
yeah.
Probably let's not give this recommendation to people because it'll eat up a lot of internet. So that is dead right now. There are other platforms where you can put it, like there are platforms like Amaze, and you can probably put in your own app, put it on HTC or Oculus's platform and monetize it, but that's very, very limited right now. So I think
there's not a huge monetization opportunity. At least we have not really been able to crack that thing wherein this is how we can, because we've been busting our heads on how do we make a very awesome content piece using drones underwater, telling a different kind of story, maybe non-fictional or something like that. But how do we really put it out there, make money? Maybe not make money, but at least distribute it. Distribution itself is the problem to start with.
There's two problems. Like besides monetization, that the basic first problem is distribution.
Yeah,
right?
if that gets solved, then
Right.
monetization will come, I feel. But distribution itself is a challenge. There's no certain platform that say, okay, you like, for example, Hotstar. I pay say $500 or $600 and I get a year subscription to amazing content, Game of Thrones, IPL matches, everything. It's that cheap. It's dead cheap. Who will not put in that kind of money? So there's nothing like that for sure. Even if someone starts, say, wants to create a library of content and wants to monetize on it, it'll be, pay me $5K a month kind of a thing. That's how the logistics would probably work out.
unless there's a huge
they're-
investment where
unless they're ready to lose a lot of money for customer acquisition kind of a thing. So, I mean, while these challenges are there, I think one of the solutions is things like Oculus Quest becoming a little more mainstream. I know we are still, in the phase where we want it to be cheaper. It's
Oculus
hardly
Quest is a
affordable.
dream in India right now.
Yeah.
To be very honest.
No one
Like,
will have it.
It got released like 3 months back, and now
It's still a
70,000.
Yeah,
big-
it's
big leap.
retailing at 70 grand, and I want to go kill the guy who's selling it for 70 grand.
Exactly.
Because it's 31 grand piece. Anyway, so yes, monetization and distribution, there are these initial problems. I mean, if you go when digital started,
Yeah.
right, everybody was talking about the same thing. I mean,
Yes.
how do you monetize? That was a huge thing. Even right now, if you go to see, we've not completely cracked the monetization of your digital content, right? India being a traditional country largely, we still are stuck onto television. We still stuck onto Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahoti and theaters. But I guess this is my personal opinion. We are at the cusp of the fourth industrial revolution, and things are going to change drastically. And I'm assuming these tech behemoths are going to find a way where you maybe find some monetization or distribution platform. Or
They've proven places. I mean, there's a lot of. We're talking about India, but when we go outside India, there are a lot of opportunities that are being created. I'm not saying people have become profitable, but they've started it. They've to some extent cracked the code. VR experience zones, the subscription-based OTT VR platforms.
platforms, which is making money at this point.
Making money. Yes. So there is a huge
I
opportunity.
think location-based VR is huge.
Yeah, it's huge around the world. It's somehow we lacking over here. Maybe if somebody comes and introduces that, and people can get into a mall in a 3,000, 4,000 square feet space and actually can experience like a free roam VR game with haptic feedback, they'll understand, oh wow, this could be the next evolution of storytelling.
Absolutely.
And Anurag Kashyap walks in and says, wow, this story could be told in just a 4,000, 5,000 square feet space, and you can live that experience, and you can interact with your characters.
Yes.
So it's an evolution which is waiting to happen. The monetization is waiting to be discovered because it's in a nascent stage. It just needs these brave souls who push the envelope creatively, technology plus the marketing side, and come with a solution which, and I'm sure we're not very far away from that. Yeah, we do lack a platform where though with Immersion, the platform was built in Immersion India's first AR/VR film festival. The ethos was the same, to build a collective place or platform, a community where everybody can come together and push this. And even XROM is built with that thought in mind, that we can come together collectively. So yes, it's an open call. Anybody and everybody who's into AR, VR and who wants to collaborate, synergize, please connect with me, and would be happy to figure out how we can do something together.
And get a lot of interesting thoughts about everything in life as well.
Right. So we've covered enterprise, we've covered entertainment also. What do you see the future of AR, VR and the future of Liminal?
We currently are kind of diversifying is, I don't know if it's the right word, because we always wanted to do things like that. As I said, building DIY tools for companies. We understood that they are not going to invest. We understood that they are not willing to really push the envelope themselves. So we are making it that much more easier for them. To start with, we're starting with AR, for example, and catering to a lot of different industries. So we are trying to cover hospitality space, manufacturing space, fashion industry, giving them tools that would help them create AR based brochures on their own. Like, they wouldn't have to interact with us, making the whole workflow easy for them. What this will eventually do is make their consumers, they're the big brands, right? They'll start using it. They'll make their consumers use all these tools on a regular basis, and it'll become, the hope is that things will become mainstream. So the vision, I think, for most of the people in VR is to make people experience XR, be it AR or VR. So this is our kind of approach to do it, to make a tool which people can just subscribe.
We're trying to make it easy for people.
Brilliant.
Right now there are tools like V4, AR Core, AR. We are using the same technology, putting a layer on top, and
really going deep into the use case. I mean, really going deep into the industry, figuring out, okay, what do you currently do and how can this be made better? Either we save your time, or you save your money, or increase your reach. One of these three. These are the business challenges, right? So do either of those. With our tools, improve the customer experience comes with it. When we say we're trying to improve your customer experience, whatever they say that we care about a customer, we don't really see it in India, because we talk to these guys. खरीदेगा ही. मतलब I don't give a shit about how good he feels about my product, as long as he's just spending money. I'll give him fuck all service later, but make him buy, and that's all.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously there's no connection. I hope that these companies can figure out to connect with the customers, because I mean, if you connect, you build a trust, and you win the trust, you have a customer for life. So any last words, guys? To
I think you summarized it really well. I think I was only trying to say that, but I think we need to be open to thinking about the future. As you said, we understand certain things and we don't understand certain things. The things that we don't understand, especially when it comes to AR and VR, if you have certain perceptions, be open to understanding from people like us. For people who are out there looking to create, I think you are on the right path. AR VR will definitely be XR in general will be a part of humanity, big part of humanity very soon, sooner or later. So I think you're on the right path. It is a little slightly difficult journey. It's easier compared to 5 years
scary
back.
that what if it doesn't work out, what if the articles that I'm reading on certain websites is true, that AR/VR is dying, Apple is pulling off their AR plans, and Facebook has stopped investing in Oculus, and Oculus Studio got closed. I'm sure there might be different reasons for that, but VR and XR is gonna stay.
And anyone who's reading all the news and thinking that it's not going to work out, please come down to our office. Just look at the stuff that we're creating. After you look at it, form your opinion. I think you will definitely see what its the potential is. I mean, maybe it's not immediate money for sure.
It might take some time. Probably industry-wise, right? Maybe entertainment in XR would take a longer time than your enterprise XR. But it is going to happen for sure. I mean, we see it happening already.
Right.
This year, in fact, there are a lot of companies in the enterprise domain who had approached us saying we want solutions in XR. And very good use cases. They want to create something useful, something that can save their money, solve their problem, optimize their workflow. And I think there are many ways. It's just a matter of
it's a matter of time. Yeah, all the points that we discussed. But I think if there's any takeaway that you could get is that experience XR. Anyone that continue to experience XR, VR, AR, but you continue to use it on a regular basis, you will see the beauty in it. We have fallen in love with the technology for a reason. You will also see the same reason, and just continue wherever you find it. Just try using it.
Lovely. So on that note, thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you guys.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna have all the details of Saket and Saurabh below, so you guys can reach out to them, because in the end, this platform is built to build a community. So you guys can reach out to them. And if you like what you see, please press the subscribe button. And until next time, see you guys. Bye.